Don't you dare be sour. Clap for your world famous two-time champs and feel the power. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
I know Jules Santana said that you did not need to know how to read to be successful in society. Normally, I abide by the rules of Dipset. But in this particular case, I'm going to ask you for a few moments of your time, for a couple of minutes out your day, so I can read something to you. This is specifically for Michigan and Ohio State fans, but the lesson in what I'm going to read to you can apply to anyone. So if you just indulge me for a few minutes while I read you this story from a book that I read about my Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, the book that I read is kind of telling the story of the Ohio State Buckeyes and their championship run. I'm going to assume that pretty much every school and every NFL team, MLB team, NBA team has a book written about them when they win a championship. So this was the Ohio State book. And of course, it's interesting for everything that happened during last season, culminating with the loss to Michigan. If you want to go check out the book, you can go on Amazon. I don't want to mispronounce the guy's last name. I'm going to try to spell it out. I believe it's God damn it. Rabinowitz, Bill Rabinowitz. If I'm saying it incorrectly, Bill, I do apologize, but this is free promo. You can go on Amazon and read this book about the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's if you're an Ohio State Buckeyes fan, some really good stuff in it. But there was a particular chapter that caught my attention, and I wanted to read just a little bit of that chapter. I'm not going to read the whole book, just a couple of pages. I think it can help somebody. And yes, I'm going to probably on Friday give my prediction and do all of my huffing and puffing about Michigan and Ohio State. But the day before Thanksgiving, I feel like, and maybe this is just me getting old, maybe I can help somebody today. And maybe by reading this passage, these paragraphs, this will help somebody. Now, the story is about, or I should say, it's not about Ryan Day. It's not about Jeremiah Smith. It's not about Jack Sawyer. It's not about Will Howard. It's not about the stars of that team, even though there's a lot of good stories in the book about them. This is a story about tight end, G. Scott Jr. If you don't follow the Buckeyes, you probably have no idea who I'm talking about. He was on the Patriots practice squad for a little bit. I don't think he's in the league right now. He's not one of the 14 or 15 guys that actually got drafted by the NFL from that team. But I think his story was the most powerful one in the book. I'm going to pull it up on the screen so you can read along with me, so you can see it. And I appreciate you taking out 5 minutes of your time, 5 minutes of your day to listen to me read about this story about G. Scott, because I think someone somewhere, hopefully, after I read it, it helps them out, especially during this holiday time. We're going to start right here. Essentially, G. Scott had been having a hard time at Ohio State early in his career. And it had got to obviously a boiling point. And that's where we start the story. Hold on, I have to put on my glasses. It says Scott was going through a change in his football and non-football life. He decided this after discussing it with his father and with former NFL cornerback Richard Sherman, who was a family friend, that he had more potential as a tight end. That required changing his body and having patience. He redshirted his first year. In 2021, he injured his hamstring and missed spring practice. That July, his mother died. Scott was filled with regret. He was close to his mom, but didn't believe that he was there for her as much as he should have been, and that he took things for granted. It was absolutely devastating, he said. Scott became estranged from his father around that time. They didn't talk for more than a year. Football was no refuge. He was still buried on the depth chart and unhappy about it. Before the Oregon game that September, Scott walked out of practice. It got to a point where I almost hated being there, Scott said. During Ohio State's off week in October, Scott decided that was it. He was done. He got in his car and he headed towards Seattle. He was in a rural part of Indiana when he parked at a convenience store to rest up. Someone at the store called the police because they suspected suspicious activity, aka big black man in the car. Here I am, a black male, Scott said. I'm driving a red Challenger with 5% window tints. I'm in dreadlocks. I'm probably in an all-white town. Things could have gone down a various amount of ways. Instead, it turned into a life-changing event. The officer who responded, Rob Moore, repeatedly asked Scott what was going on. Scott then unburdened himself. He told the officer everything that was wrong in his life, about his mom dying, about being unhappy with football. And I started crying to this guy. And at the end of my ranting, he told me to come with him. The rest of the day and that night, Scott rolled with Moore as he did his job. They even got pizza with his son. Moore encouraged Scott to return to Ohio State. Scott slept in his car that night and then returned to Columbus. The only coach that Scott had been in contact with was running back coach Tony Alford, who ironically is now with Michigan, who encouraged him to talk to Coach Day. I didn't want to do it because it made me a little bit embarrassed, Scott said. I didn't want to come into the facility, but I ended up doing it. I sneaked in through the back door. Scott said he didn't know what to expect from Day. At that point, he was so delusional that he wasn't even scared of being kicked off the team. I didn't care at all, Scott said, but he was so welcoming. He said, anything I can do to help you, I'm here for you. I don't think you're crazy. You're just fighting it mentally. He ended up bringing his wife in, Mrs. Day, and we had a conversation. He figured she'd be able to help me with the stuff that I was going through as well. I'm forever thankful for him being who he was in that moment in my life. G's father put it even more bluntly. Coach Ryan Day saved my son's life, G. Scott said of Day. Day said he didn't want to kick Scott off the team because even though his emotions could get the better of him, he knew Scott was a caring young man. I knew there was a good person in there, Coach Day said. Scott's life and football career did not turn around right away. He had never been a drinker, but he sampled the nightlife scene for the next year. He found it unsatisfying. When he looked in the mirror, he wasn't proud of who he saw. In the 2022 Michigan game that year with Ohio State trailing 24-20 in the third quarter, Scott headbutted a Michigan player on the sideline after a play. He got the predictable hate from angry fans after that game. A lot of things that happened on the field was symbolic of where I was in my life, Scott said. I didn't struggle with anger issues. It was in that moment that was a part of my character. He was probably jarring with me and some things I didn't like to hear. At that time in my life, that's how I handled conflict. Scott did not grow up in a religious home. At one point during his tailspin, he considered himself an atheist. In my mind, I was like, if there's actually a God, why would he do these things to me, Scott said. At the beginning of 2023, he decided to put his reservations aside. He bought a Bible. He randomly picked a church. I was like, God, if you're really there, I'm not doing the whole Christian thing, but I want to know for real, Scott said. It began a journey from literally that moment. In the next couple of weeks, my life began to dramatically change. I received peace in pursuing Christ that I never received in my entire life. Not from alcohol, not from any relationship, not from any money, not from any touchdown. All of my life, I felt like a square block trying to fit into a round hole. Now I finally felt like a circle that fit into a round hole. His anger issues gradually dissipated. Scott was finally at peace. The Rose Bowl that year, the first play of the game that dictated the game and pretty much dictated what was going to happen for the Ohio State University. It wasn't Jeremiah Smith, wasn't Travion Henderson, wasn't Quinshawn Judkins. It was G. Scott.
G. Scott was the tight end. He motioned out. Howard looking to throw. Wide open. Down the sideline. It's Scott, the tight end. A little wrinkle on the opening play and a huge gain into Ducks territory of 30 yards.
I know it's a rivalry. And I know it can get a little heated. And I know that as adults, we're hard on the coaches. We're hard on the individuals. We're hard on the kids. But I think it's important at times that we remember that these are human beings and they're just playing a football game. And there's a lot of other things that are going on besides what's going on between those lines. And I think about that, and I think about Mrs. Day, who I've never had the pleasure of meeting, but from everybody that I've ever talked to associated with Ohio State and associated with the Day family, tells me you won't find a more caring, a more nicer, a more giving woman in the world than Mrs. Day. And to know that what she had to deal with after that Michigan loss, what her children had to deal with, it just makes me want to say and do my small little part to say, let's understand that these are individuals and these are human beings. And yes, we can boo. And yes, we can critique. And yes, we can be upset. But no one should be threatening anybody's life. No one should be in anybody's DM saying racist things. No one should be afraid to go to class on Monday. The kicker had to have bodyguard, security to take the class. Shouldn't be like that. And that's not just on the Ohio State side. I know it's been on the Michigan side because I've been a part of this rivalry for almost 30 years now. So I've seen the ups and I've seen the downs and I've seen the fan bases attack each other, attack themselves, attack the coaches, attack the players. But you never know what people are actually going through. And I'm proud of G. Scott. And I really want that cop because that could have went a totally different way. I don't know if you've ever been in rural Indiana before, but it's not safe for just any black person. I'm pretty sure it's not safe for a 6'3", 250-pound black person with dreads. They didn't call the cops because they thought he was suspicious. They called the cops because he was black. And if the wrong cop would have come, this story could be a whole lot different. So, Rob, if you happen to watch this, if I can come track you down, I don't know if you're an Ohio State fan, maybe an Indiana fan, or even a Michigan fan. I don't really care. I hope you get some sort of recognition. I hope you know that you're in this book. I hope that you know that you, by the decision that you made that day, literally changed, potentially saved a young person's life. I hope we can figure out a way to get him and his son some tickets to a game. At Ohio State, maybe Ohio State, Indiana, if it's in the Big Ten championship or whatever. If we can find the gentleman, if you know, and let me pull his name back up here. You let him know, okay? If you know, let's see, where's his name? Right, nope, wrong one. Nope, right one. If you know Officer Rob Moore, if you happen to see this and you know Officer Rob Moore in Indiana, know it's kind of a generic name, please reach out to him. A, let him know if he doesn't know that he's in the book. And B, that he changed somebody's life, and that at some point we'd like to figure out a way to get him some tickets and his son to a game in Indiana, wherever he would like to go. Because, with cops, we have to be honest and unbiased. It does not always go that way. It does not always go that way. He saved a young man's life that day. And that's what cops are supposed to do, protect and serve. And that's what he did. He protected and served. So I appreciate you taking out 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your day to let me read that story to you. Hopefully, no matter who your rival is, or in college or in pro, you think about it a second, before you say anything or do anything crazy just because of a loss. Especially in college. And I know they get paid now, and they should, because the NCAA got 100 years of free labor. So they should get paid. But these kids are 19, 18, 20 years old. Julian Sanders is 19 years old. The Michigan quarterback's 18 years old. Jeremiah Smith is just turning 20 on Saturday. These are kids. These are children. We are adults. We should be better. And I want us to do better. And I think we can. I hope we can. Got a lot of pushback for my Shedeur Sanders observations over the weekend. I wasn't surprised by that. I was not surprised by that. When I said that they didn't like confident black men, they limited my reach on social media. And we cannot recommend this. Oh my God, this guy's telling black people to be confident. I'm sorry, sir. We have to limit that reach. We're not going to be showing this video to anybody. Jesus Christ. I can see if I was cursing and throwing up Hail Hitler signs or something. I said, something? Black people, confident black people, it makes white people uncomfortable. They cut that out quick. Sometimes I hate social media because social media has no context to it. Clearly, I was speaking of character, not stats, okay? Because, numbers don't lie. If you're in talent, normally rises to the top. So if you're good, you're going to be good. If you're bad, you're going to be bad. No amount of how much somebody likes you or the privilege that you have. It's kind of like the Arch Manning thing. Like, no matter how many Heismans you try to get him, he still has to go out and play. And the film doesn't lie. They can keep trying to hype it up or hype it down or whatever. But in the end, you're going to play. Even if I don't care if he's drafted number one, just off of his name, he still has to play the games. I was talking strictly about character and how the character is seen. No one will ever say an ill word about Arch Manning's character, no matter what happens. And I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with his character. I'm just saying no one's going to talk about his character. When he looked over that guy from Sam Houston State, people said, Arch, you shouldn't do that. Arch said, "Oh, my mom called me." They said, "Oh, that's not Arch. Arch, he just got a lot of pent up frustrations. He just it's Arch, he just had to let it go. He had to let it get the emotions out. They don't never talk about his character, even when he does things or anybody does things with character flaws. Now, Shakur said it's all about character with him. If you want to say, okay, he wasn't, very accurate, or he did this, or he threw the interception when he should have, that's fine. I have no issue with that. You breaking down the game. But that's not what I heard. I heard arrogant, needs to be humble, has too much confidence. Who does he think he is? Why does he think this? Why does he want to be a starter in the offseason? That's all I heard is character. Not tape, not ball, character. I'm hearing attacks on your character. Oh, he played well, but he needs to tone it down a bit. That's character hate. No one says that about J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy can throw 5 interceptions. His character will never be questioned. Shedeur Sanders says, I believe, thank God, couldn't do this without God. I shook hands with all my old linemen. Thank God for my old linemen. Thank God for my teammates. I appreciate my coaches. They cut all of that out. And then him saying, oh, man, if I had a whole offseason, it'd be dangerous. Cut that and put that on every single show in America. You can't trust the media. Rob's never lied to you because I don't have to. See the difference? You say, well, you just think, that's just catchphrase, right? Like all my other catchphrases, like the headline king and dollar there and facts, not feelings, and all this stuff. But I say Rob never lied to you. Not that I've never lied in general. Not saying that. I'm saying Rob never lied to you when it comes to media because I don't have to. I don't have to lie to you. I don't have to lie to get ahead. I don't have to make up narratives. I don't have to give hot takes. I already made it. If I quit today, I made it. I did more than what anybody thought it was humanly possible to do. So I don't have to lie to you, so I can tell you the truth. There's nobody hanging over my head saying, don't do that, don't say this, don't whatever. No, so Rob don't have to lie to you. So Rob tells you the truth. Now, that's what I'm saying. If someone like Big Perk, he got to do hot takes. That's how he makes his money. So he has to say stupid stuff to get people to listen to him. So I'm not going to say stupid stuff like that. Nobody's comparing Shedeur to President Obama. Like sometimes it's just hot sauce. Like I get the concept of what he's trying to say, the context of what he's trying to say. I'm going to assume he doesn't mean literally. I definitely could be wrong, but I hope not. That he doesn't mean literally. Well, Rob never lied. Because here's the thing, I tell you something, and then here's the thing. I say, Rob never lied to you. I tell you what it is. And you know what I do? I just sit back like this. And I just watch people tell on themselves to prove that I didn't lie to you. I can literally show you this, he did that. Look what he says. Oh, look, this guy doesn't have an avatar. This guy has 5 numbers behind his name. Oh, this is a white guy right here. This guy has I love Jesus and Trump. And they just tell on themselves. I don't have to do much. I'm fair. Now, Shedeur played solid. But what he does have is something that, unfortunately, Dylan Gabriel can never have. And it's only because they put Dylan Gabriel in this situation. Dylan Gabriel went to another team, he would have been fine probably. Like if the Steelers started, Will Howard for whatever reason, because Aaron Rodgers was hurt, he wouldn't have to worry about somebody else behind him who got more emotion. You can't put a young person in with another young person that has more emotion, that it inspires more people. It's just a recipe for disaster. It's just bad management. And I got on Kevin Stefanski, but I understood it. This is the guy I wanted. You brought in a different guy that has more motion. It puts me in a terrible spot. I want to give my guy as many opportunities as he can to succeed, but I got a guy behind him that just has momentum. He just has a wave that you can't teach. To me, you have to let that fester and see where it gets you. I can understand if there was like a surefire number one or top five like draft pick with the quarterbacks next year. Like if there was just a guy, like that guy is just. But objectively speaking, none of these guys that are coming out are better than what Shedeur was in Colorado his last season. And that's no disrespect. But if you put Shedeur Sanders on Indiana, they had the same record. You put him on Alabama, they maybe have a better record. You put him on LSU, Clemson, you put him at Penn State. All these guys are supposed to be high. You put them at South. Do you think if you put Shedeur at South Carolina, they'd be 3-8 or whatever they are? Probably not. So you're getting lucky in a sense that you have a 5th-round quarterback that has first-round motion in regards to the energy, to the sales, to the jerseys, to the media attention. Everything you would actually want from a number one quarterback. All you have to do is invest. You have to invest in him. You have to give him a shot. Here's the thing. The great thing about it is a 5th-round pick. So if it doesn't work out, fine. He ain't no real financial investment. Give him a full shot. Trade. Here's what first of all you got to fire Kevin Stefanski. Okay, that's the first thing you have to do. And it's not Kevin Stefanski's fault. That's just not his guy. It's never going to be his guy. They're never going to have that type of relationship. So you got to fire him. He's had a good run, well, kind of. You got to fire him. You got to bring in a guy, and you got to say, listen, we're going to give Shedeur a shot. And if you're not going to, be the man, you're not going to be side by side with him, we'll hire somebody else. And then you have to give him a shot. Give him a whole offseason. Get him some actual receivers that don't fumble the ball. You got a good line. Well, you don't have a good line, but you have good running backs. Fix that line. Next thing you know, you got a good defense. You still got Myles Garrett. The Browns have been bad for a very long period of time. They have multiple quarterbacks for a very long time. They have never had a quarterback that has this type of motion. And if he didn't have any type of athletic qualities, I would understand. But he can be a good quarterback. You cannot tell me that Shedeur Sanders cannot be as good as Brock Purdy. You just can't. And no offense to Brock Purdy, I think he's been good. You cannot tell me that Shedeur Sanders can't be Samuel Darnold. I just don't believe it. I believe that with the right coaching, the right attitude, or the right front office, he can be I'm not saying he's going to be Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, but you cannot tell me that he can't be Brock Purdy. You can't tell me he can't be better than Geno Smith. No offense to Eugene, big fan. Maybe he doesn't get into that top 5, echelon. But can he be good enough to get you to a Super Bowl? I think so. I do. You just got to coach him up. That's all. Just coach him up. Tomorrow, of course, is Thanksgiving. And I'm sure it's been a tough year for a lot of people. And when I talk about Thanksgiving, I always remember one of the things I used to get in trouble about in school is pushing the teachers, especially in high school. I think I did it for fun back then, on American history. Oh, I love pushing them on American history. I couldn't wait to Columbus Day come up. That was my favorite day in history class. Let's talk about Columbus. I go do my own research at the library. Oh my goodness. You used to have a good time with that. But also, Thanksgiving obviously is one of those holidays that you should celebrate because you get the day off. The premise of the holiday, being thankful, is a good premise, right? You're thankful for your friends, your family. You get your turkey, you eat your football, you get your turducken and all that stuff. That's a beautiful thing, right? Yeah. Now, of course, the Americans slaughtered a bunch of Indians for Thanksgiving. Pretty much stole their whole identity and then stole their holiday and everything. It's okay to understand that. in the concept of still enjoying your day. That's very important. Dipset said don't read. Jules Santana said you don't need to read. I disagree. I think you should go read. Here's the thing. You don't even have to read a book anymore, even though I would prefer that you actually don't go to the library and read a history book, right? You can, if you prefer AI or whatever, just go ahead and type it in there. Type it in there. Give me the and here's the thing, type into a couple of them to make sure you're getting the real answer. Because some of these are ran by, I think, MAGA. So I don't know. Hey, what's the real Thanksgiving about? What really happened between the Americans and the Indians? Why are Indians on reservations right now? Who land is it? Who's actually here first? I can get you a list of questions. You can pull it up right now. Let's pull up chat GTP before we get out of here. I'm just curious to see what it says. Who discovered America? Really? Who discovered America? Really? You gotta put that really in so they know not to get a generic answer. Let's see what it says here. We just click it. Oh, it says, okay, let's see what it says here. I'm gonna show you guys. Oh my goodness. All right, I gotta show you guys this. Okay, all right. I can't get the whole screenshot in, but I'll show what I think is pretty funny. Okay, chat. I see you, chat. GTP. The man don't own you, right? You out here telling the truth. Let's see what it says. Who really discovered America? Really? Boy, you can learn some. Read some books. Don't listen to Dipset. Don't listen to Jules Santana. Love Dipset. Love Jules Santana. Read a book. It's good for you. Short answer, no single person discovered America because millions of indigenous people were already living across the continent for thousands of years. But if you mean first non-indigenous explorers to reach America, here's a real breakdown. Indigenous people were the first. Humans arrived in America at least 15,000, 23,000 years ago. Some evidence even earlier. They built civilizations like the Olmec, Mayan, Aztec, Inca, the Mississippians, the towns, and many hundred others. So the real answer is indigenous people discovered, populated, and built America long before Europeans even knew it existed. Christopher Columbus was not even the first foreigner here. Even in his own time, he never set foot in America. He landed in the Caribbean. Columbus's voyages did matter because they kicked off permanent European colonization. You know what colonization means. But he didn't discover anything that wasn't already known to millions of people. But don't say that in history class. Yeah, don't say that in history class. You get in trouble. Yeah. Columbus didn't even never step foot in America. I don't even want. If I go down the rabbit hole and start talking about what happened to all those indigenous people when Americans got here, then we'll be on here for another hour. And I know that you guys got things that you got to do. Yeah, things that you got to do. Go down that rabbit hole. Are you bored? Go find out exactly how the United States of America came about. It's not like the TV shows. It's not like what they put in our history books. The real answer is not very pretty, and it may explain why society is the way it is right now. To be honest with you. So after you drink your drink and you had your turkey and you're watching the Ravens, I don't know. Go get your library card on Friday. Go learn something. So BSO Live. Appreciate you taking out the time.